Let's talk about some reasons why Agile teams would dislike Agile, right? I know this is a sensitive topic because my goal is just to cover some of my experience that I've noticed, and also while working with my mentees, things that I've noticed is why sometimes these Scrum teams or Kanban teams that do not want to work with Agile format, right? They're not interested in Agile, or they don't even have any want to hear anything about Agile. So my goal today is just cover some typical things we might have observed and things that I've experienced. Welcome back to Aisha Scrum. I'm very happy to have you all join my platform. For my existing subscribers and my new subscribers, I welcome you all and thank you all for subscribing. I really appreciate it. And if you find this content valuable, like and subscribe to my channel. I really appreciate it. So the first thing I have in my board is assuming all Agile teams know Agile. And I'm saying this truly from experience, because sometimes, remember, when companies are going through Agile transformation, so that they will hire these people like a consultant company that can sometimes come in and do those mass training, and they will leave, and then the Agile teams will come in, and then a Scrum Master will come in, or maybe anyone, different person that they plan to come in, or a Scrum lead, or a Kanban lead, anyone that want to help them implement this Scrum or Kanban teams, right? And then you will come in, and let's say, for example, as a Scrum Master, and you already found the teams already formed, right? They're already doing their either daily Scrum, or they're doing their Kanban meetings or anything like that. And automatically we assume that they know Agile, right? Sometimes some of these teams, they're just doing things because their manager told them to do it. So it's very important for us Agile practitioners to assess the knowledge of our team members, and sometimes not only look at the knowledge, what they have in their head, also their behaviors, right? Because the behaviors is very, very important, right? Because people's behavior can lead to their attitude, and then will reflect on all of their performance and everything else they are doing. So we want to ensure that when we are new, we join a team, or if you are not new, you just join the team. During your one-to-one session, also try to bring up things about Agile. Oh, how did you get started with Agile? So for how long have you been part of an Agile team? What did you like about working in an Agile team? What you don't like about working in an Agile team? What are your expectations from a Scrum Master or a Kanban lead? Or what would you want me to do better? Or what are some things about Agile that you want me to help you change, improve? Or what are some learnings are you hoping to achieve, or you want to learn further? Sometimes you might not know all of these answers, right? But you can definitely connect with people in your community of practice, bring different knowledge, and transfer some of these things to the team member, even lead them to a reputable place in your company that they have about Agile where you can send this. I don't know how many times at work where I've sent like a whole link about our Agile Excellence site, and then the developer will be like, oh, I've been here for the past 5 years. It's my first time ever seeing this link. I'm like, oh, okay. So it's just for you to know that don't just assume when you see an Agile team, then automatically they actually know the true reason why they're even together. For all I know, sometimes they're just doing it because they're asked to do it. But it's very important, if you notice that, just try to change it, educate the team, make it fun, create some kind of workshop. As a Scrum Master, we do not only facilitate meetings, we also teach, right? If you look at the 4 skills Scrum Masters should have, we have the skill teaching, facilitating, mentoring, and coaching, right? So we should always at all times try to at least like once a month workshop session for the team, so we can continue, learn, and grow, and also learn from different experience. So that's why it's very important to assess your team's Agile knowledge, and sometimes you can go beyond just your team and also your department, or maybe if you work in SAFE, your art, and if possible, your leadership, to also educate them as you're having this one-to-one session with them and communication with them. Don't be afraid to do all of that. So the next thing I have in my board is estimating in hours, right? So I know in my experience, sometimes when I see like team members, they'll be so like afraid of, like, oh my God, I gave this particular story X amount of hours, but in reality, Aisha, I spent so much more hours from this work, and I feel like now I can go back and change it, because I was told I have to go back to retrospective and we're going to retrospect on that and improve next time. But to be honest, I still do not, I don't like that, because it's something that's not being true reflection of my work, right? So that's going back to these hours things. I know a lot of you, most of you know that I'm so like against that, but if you go to a company and you notice that your team estimating hours, in the beginning, we always want to learn what the companies are doing, right? But I would definitely tell you that Scrum Master to advocate about introducing relative estimation, right? Introducing relative estimation and getting them to think of value, what's delivered over hours, right? I know sometimes like HR will need, or finance will need this because they want their budgeting and all of those things, they need that. But they can still also use story pointing and also use the value delivered, and hopefully look at where they can fund that through that, over just putting a lot of pressures with the team and asking them to give estimating hours. And sometimes 9 out of 10 too, not even sometimes, 9 out of 10, this hours is always off, because sometimes team will always will give like lower level of estimate, and at the end of the day they will even spend more time, or sometimes they'll give like high level estimate or they'll spend little time, which is unlikely. For the most part they'll give you low estimate and it's like more. So I noticed that in my experience that team that estimate in hours are more stressed, are more burned out, and are more less likely to enjoy working in the agile space, unlike team that do relative estimation and also are in a space environment where they are seen as their failures as learning, and also fail fast, learn from that, grow and improve, and also the company promoting that continuous improvement and also delivery. Unlike these people that work in hours, sometimes they are being judged based on the hours, and if a team, agile team, is doing that, they will dislike agile. They will definitely dislike agile for sure. So the next thing I have here is not being flexible with the triple constraint, right? I have there, I'm sure you all are familiar with the triple constraint, and if not, you can watch my triple constraint on that video. But in order for us to do agile, we have to be flexible in one of these. Either we have to be flexible with our cost, with our time, or scope. But I know for the most part, for most teams that we work with, we're going to be flexible with our time, right? Then we know that at any given time, things can come in, right? Our scope going to change, we already expected that. And stakeholders coming into this project, trying to get this product delivered, also know that they're going to be flexible with their cost and all of that. So in order for us to actually do agile, one of these must be flexible. And if you work in a team or you work in a company that all of this is fixed, guess what? I don't think you're doing agile. That's definitely the old traditional method, and that's where all of those things are fixed. So in order for us to do agile, one of that, this three triangle, one of that must be flexible. And sometimes too, you see like some companies, they'll be like, oh yeah, we are flexible in your time. The most important thing, we want to ensure that we are doing some kind of incremental delivery, and then we can give a feedback, and hopefully you all can improve and deliver what we want. And then later on, you're going to hear them too, like leadership are not happy. We already passed the deadline. And you'll be like, deadline? What deadline are they talking about when the team themselves, they don't even know about those deadlines? Sometimes you can find that leadership sometimes will give false deadlines to the stakeholders, and at the end of the day, they didn't sync that up with the team, and the team are not aware. They'll go to the sprint review and you come up with an angry stakeholder, right? Lashing on the team, and when it's not the team's fault, right? So if you're part of a team, you know management are giving stakeholders some dates, ensure that that date is also aligned with the team. And if it's something that's unrealistic, it's not going to be met, early on, discuss it with the stakeholder, escalate it. Don't wait till the end and start saying that, oh, we thought we were going to do it and now we wouldn't. It is fine. As much as we're going to be flexible with some of these things, we also have to be realistic, right? So if you find an agile team, they are not happy about agile, sometimes they are claimed to be doing agile, but they are working on this triple constraint that's extremely fixed, right? So the next thing I have in my board is constantly going over Timebox. Oh my God. So I did survey. I used to do survey a lot when I was a Scrum Master, right? And one of the feedback I've always gotten from from the development team is that Aisha, we are always the time box, and I won't lie, I'm guilty for that. I know like sometimes I do this, and that is my work in progress. I've been trying to work on this. I think I got better in it, but I know that's one area that I will have to continue to improve. But let me just tell you how that can be so annoying for the developers, right? Imagine if you schedule a meeting for like, let's say for example, stand up for 30 minutes, right? And then this stand up, you have your maybe say 15 minutes your stand up and 15 minutes your parking lot. Maybe you have 20 minutes your stand up and then 10 minutes parking lot. And it's, you find yourself going like 1 hour in stand up when you schedule it for 15 minutes, or you find yourself going like way beyond off the time box, and you're constantly doing this meetings after meetings. To be honest, your team not gonna like you for that. Sometimes I've worked with my mentees that they'll always get good feedback. Is one of the early one they'll always give you is, oh, thank you for respecting our time box. Our last Scrum Master did not. Like, oh, I'm sure I was that last Scrum Master. Our last Scrum Master did not, right? So it's very important for us to respect this time box. And when we are having discussion that do not impact the whole team, it's very important for us to announce it. Like, okay, we're gonna be having this topic to be discussed next. If you are not related, if you want to stay, you are welcome to stay. And if you are not, if it does not relate to you, it's okay for you to drop. Yo, this is so powerful. And if you can do this in all of your meetings, like although sometimes we'll go over the time box, but only people that actually find value in what's going to be discussed will remain. Other people that don't find it's going to be affecting them or invaluable, it's okay for them to drop. So that respecting the time box and not respecting it can lead to Agile team disliking Agile. So the next thing I have is not having acceptance criteria, right? That's another feedback too I've heard so in the past. Because sometimes, so I won't lie, like when we have like new Agile team formed and we're just getting them to get in the habit of like coaching and training product owners to write user story, coaching them to have acceptance criteria. But sometimes too, we don't be as hard on them because like, oh yeah, they are new, they have user story here, they don't have this one here. But we're gonna continue coaching them because it's a continuous work in progress, right? And one of those days, whenever we do that, we'll always go back to retro and we'll see a developer will complain. They'll be like, oh, we had a user story, there was no acceptance criteria. Or sometimes they will say we have a user story. The PO kept changing the acceptance criteria, kept changing it throughout the sprint. And that's something that's not good either, right? Because imagine if they go in and do their work and then you change it and they have to go back and redo it, they go back again and redo it. So if this is constantly happening, then the team for sure will not be happy about that. And so if you have a product owner that still needs help in writing user story, it's very important for you to always sync up with them offline, coach them and guide them on better ways to write user story, and always emphasize the importance of those stories having acceptance criteria, right? Acceptance criteria, that's very important, because if it's not there too, the developers too can complain like, oh, we don't know what to test out, do our test based on what, we couldn't validate any of this because he's just asking us the ask, and now we build what we think, and now the PO is saying it's not what they thought. It's so totally off, right? So that's why the acceptance criteria can help them, just to help put them around that parameters of what needs to be worked on. So the next thing I have in my board is insisting on the team participate in all of these team building activities. So that's sometimes that's going back to us Scrum Masters, right? So sometimes we do want to have Agile team that are building product, that are motivated, happy, have that very safe environment where they can be open and transparent with their work. As much as we love icebreakers, as much as we love all these different activities we do, but it's very important for you all to know that you don't have to impose this at the team. Not only that, everything else in Agile, it's always important for us to like find a way how we can tell them, to explain things to them so they can see the value in it. And some people, it takes them a while to come around, especially for people that are new doing all of these different things in Agile and all of that. It takes them a little while for them to open up, especially for some of them that have been working in waterfall for like years, right? They never had any of this. And now all of these things is new to them. Remember, daily scrum might be new to them, retro might be new to them, planning might be new to them, right? And now all of a sudden you're also including, okay, let's now do this, all these team building activities and stuff. All of this may be new to them. So just give your team time and take this slowly, like gradually approach. Slowly until hopefully they'll come around and get it. And if you notice that there's some 2 or 3 people that will always don't want to participate, those are the people you have to sync up with them offline and discuss challenges they are facing, or what is it about these activities that they do not like, and what can you do to improve it, and how can you get them to see some of these activities as a way for us to work together collaboratively as a team. But do not impose anything to your Agile team, because if you do, they will dislike Agile. So the next thing I have in my board, oh, by the way, if I do that, if you've been finding this content valuable and all of my content valuable, like and subscribe to this channel. I do a lot of research with this thing I always present here. I said with my content I always put here, to be honest. So I really would appreciate it if you guys also like and subscribe to my channel, or share it too to your other Agilists and your other friends. And if you can have any topic suggestion you have for me, put it on the chat below. I will do my best to do some of those videos too. So let's keep in touch. So the next thing I have in my board is obsession of metrics, right? I've also seen some developers will complain. They'll be like, oh, Aisha, my Scrum Master, all they care about is the burn-down chart. All they care about is the velocity. They don't give us like kudos. They don't like show appreciation. It is true, we are all paid to come to this job. We all are getting our money and all of that. That is true, nothing wrong with that. But it's always nice too if we can celebrate all the little wins, right? As much as we also want to use metric for forecasting, right? But there's a different ways how we can ask questions to get this team to also see that we care for them and be a little empathetic towards them, as their work is not easy, right? So if you're that Scrum Master, you always just calling, oh, we only delivered 40 story points and we planned for like 60. 40 story points, that's not only, right? We have to look beyond the velocity and look at the issue itself and also the people, right? Don't forget the people. Just show appreciation, thank them for every little thing. Even if you want to talk about metrics, always talk about the reason behind it. Go around the stories, go about the delivery, go about the stakeholder, and then close it up with the metric. Don't just always just be talking about metrics. Even if you have a manager that's constantly in your ears talking about metric, because I know sometimes we do face that sometimes, but don't bring that same energy to the team, right? Because we always have to shield and protect our team, right? So that also can get the team to be so discouraged about Agile, they don't even want to do Agile at all. So the next thing I have in my board is not explaining the why. Oh, that's very important, right? At all time, what we do when we do anything, even if you've been working with this team for years, right? When you have a new project, always trying to explain to them why we're working on this. If you have to change scope in the middle of the sprint, always explain, or even get the PO to explain to the team why, right? If they have to remove a team from your team, or someone have to go to a different team, also talk to them why, right? If there's a reason why the sprint review have to run differently, or a retrospective have to go on this time so the other time, always, my point is always communicate. Always have that conversation, have this discussion, explain the why, the reason behind anything before implementing, right? If you're that Scrum Master that you always go and implement and then you talk about it afterward, your team gonna push back a lot, right? And that's where you yourself, you won't like your job, and then the team will like their job, then it's gonna affect their delivery, then your manager won't be happy with you, right? So if you can take your time and just explain the reason behind everything, you'll be surprised and say, oh, that's such a little thing. Yeah, but it's actually very powerful and it can be very, very meaningful for your team. And you discuss this, and always find the need to adjust the working agreement. As some of these agreements and discussion are coming together, team are agreeing on it, go and adjust your definition of done. Sometimes you might, but for the most part, your working agreement, adjust your working agreement to reflect all of those changes you want to implement, and always explain to them the reason behind it. I guarantee you this, your team will always want to jump into any new opportunity for all of these different changes, and also willing to do Agile in a happy and nice manner. The next thing I have in my board is not trusting the team, right? This is very important, right? If you do not trust your team, it will be very, very difficult for your team to succeed, right? It will be very difficult for your team to love working in the Agile space, right? If you that part of you that Scrum Master or your product owner that your team will sometimes give an estimate to a story, and then you question like, really? Do you really think that's a 5? Or because based on what I'm reading here, it's saying just to update or just to change this. Even the saying just, so I don't think that would take up to 5 story points or even 8 story points. So don't be questioning all their estimation or start questioning their delivery, But instead, to like, oh, tell me more about the reason behind this story being an 8. Or what are some things that you have to implement differently compared to the other story, right? Don't just start giving an idea in their head and start saying that, oh no, this is it, that's not way. Or when someone tell you that, I can't complete the story in the sprint, I face this so and so issue, just say yes, right? I know sometimes you have those people that always give stories every sprint. They always have different stories, right? Sometimes we have those people. And if that's the case, those are the people you have to handle at the side, and you have discussion on ways how you can better support them. But don't go into your meetings and start saying that, I don't think that's it. Oh, I don't believe this. Oh, I don't believe that. Don't bring such energy to your team, right? So it's very important at all times we trust and believe in our team until they give us a reason not to. Because if you look at the Agile Manifesto stated that good codes are actually delivered, are actually worked on around motivated individual, and we should trust the team. It's even part of the 12 principles. So if you say the Agile Manifesto makers even included that in our 12 principles for us to trust and motivate our team, that tells you how important that is for an Agile team to be successful. If you don't trust your team, guess what? Your Agile team would dislike doing Agile. So the next thing I have in my board is not providing room for continuous learning and improvement, right? So sometimes too, you may have a team that's working on a very difficult, complex project, right? And we constantly just want them to write functional stories. Oh, it has to be a story. We can't do spike. We don't have time for spike. We don't have room for spike, right? But sometimes you will find that if the team take their time and do their spike work and do their research, the value they'll get out of that before implementation it will outweigh them just jumping right away and start blindly working on something that they have no idea about. So we Scrum Masters sometimes have to encourage the team and help them and support them. And when they say that, oh, by the way, I'm not familiar with this work, I'm going to be working on it, but I'm just going in blindly, depending on what I come out with, that's how it's going to be. But don't be afraid to ask like, oh, what about if we start with a spike, right? As much as we want this thing delivered in this sprint, but if we can write this as spike, they can now research that. So that's one area too. I know like in PA, in people that work in SAFE, sometimes so in the last iteration, which is the innovation and planning, we also like leave room for continuous improvement or learning or hackathons, all these different things. It's very important for Agile teams to also have room to further investigate, do learning, do research, do all of that. Companies should actually invest in this because this can help the team grow, also reflect their good behaviors in the team, right? Don't be the Agile team where constantly they are just walking after walking, sprint to sprint, and they don't sit back and reflect or look for ways how they can continue to improve and grow. And if your company too have that space where team can actually take off and attend seminars and all of that, so it's good to promote that within the team, because guess what, when they go in, they will learn, and when they will network, they will bring all those good learnings back to your company. So you should be the Scrum Master that help promote all of that too in your team, because if you do, guess what, your team will love everything about Agile. The next thing I have in my board is not asking for feedback, right? So that's something that's very important for us Agile practitioners, right? So we have to at all time, after like at least every quarter, we should always do some kind of survey, like to ask the team members, oh, what have we been doing so well? What don't you like about our Scrum events? Or tell me about the user story. it can be this from scale 1 to 5. Is this user story currently written well? They'll rate it. Is your Scrum Master being supportive? They'll rate it. Is your Scrum Master helping to helping to escalate impediments? Is the dependency well managed? Right? These are just typical survey I'm telling you that I've used in the past that I'm sharing for you all too. So by asking for feedback, this can help you look for ways for your next workshop, maybe, or maybe this can help you too for better ways to teach and coach the team, so you can better help support them in these agile processes and delivery, right? So asking for feedback, but for you, basically, the team members assessing and doing survey for the agile way of doing things, right? So this survey will focus not on people, but the agile process delivery, right? This survey, if you are able to do this at least every quarter or at least 2 times a year, it can be very, very valuable. It can help you, the Scrum Master, know where to improve and also how you can better support the team. And if you're interested in mentorship, do not hesitate to email me at admin@aishascrumtech.com. You can also call us. Our number is 484-767-1979. If my content have been valuable to you, please subscribe to my channel. I appreciate it. Thank you all for watching and see you again in my next video.